going through YC, you're kind of expected to build a billion-dollar company.
I'm sitting in a room with Michael Seibel for 3 hours and he's just giving me like billion-dollar advice on our company. Crazy. Michael was straight up like, I wouldn't want my worst enemy to do this idea.
That's insane. You pivoted mid-interview? So you think being a high-level athlete helped you get into Y Combinator?
Doing a startup is hard. Being a high-level athlete is also hard. Showing that you're able to put effort, show success in other areas of your life.
Working at LinkedIn in New York, also training for the Olympics. What you did was document this journey of last year, working big tech, trying to swim. All right, cool. I have this audience. Whatever I build next, maybe I could actually leverage this to accelerate what we're doing.
We hope to be the de facto kind of code repository, and we're on path to IPO. That's the goal.
Let's go, baby. Yep, this is another episode of the Athletes and Assets podcast. You've arrived. I bring on your favorite athletes to chat about entrepreneurship and the business they're building. Before we begin, please smash that like and hit that subscribe button because if we get half the amount of subscribers our guest today has, we'll be like sitting pretty, right? Because we got Marcus Rico Peng, professional swimmer, YouTuber, and also the co-founder of Palmier, who just came out of Y Combinator's Summer Bash 2024, building AI native code repository. What the hell does that mean? Marcos is going to explain it here on the podcast today. But Marcos, thank you so much for joining us, man. How are we doing?
Good. Thanks for having me on, Noah.
Yeah, you look. I know you're in LA right now. The sun looks great. Like you're glowing. You know, it's a little foggy here today. So make me jealous really quick.
Yeah, no, weather has been great here. I do not miss SF one bit.
No doubt. Let's skip the small talk, Marcos. You have Spanish and Taiwanese heritage.
Yes.
Do you speak more Spanish or Taiwanese? And which one is your favorite language? Choose wisely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know any. Well, Taiwanese, they speak Mandarin. So I don't know Mandarin. I only speak Spanish. And unfortunately, my mom is severely disappointed in me and my entire Asian part. But just Spanish for me. I've tried the Duolingo. Yeah, it doesn't work.
You're not a Duolingo fan?
No, I tried it. I really tried it. It just doesn't work. I don't know how people do it. I don't.
Well, Mandarin's a tough language, right?
It is. Yeah.
I feel like Spanish is a lot easier to learn. I took, yo tomo 5 años de clase de español, so like I can speak some broken Spanish.
Yeah. You just said I eat 5 years of Spanish. That's great.
Jesus. Tomo. I thought I said tomo, not como.
Tomo, which is like tomar, is just also like to take, or sometimes it could be like yo tomo algo, as in like I'm eating, like I have something to eat. Yeah.
But so like you wouldn't say
I translate directly from English like took, right? I'm guessing you took and tomo. Yes, I don't think it would quite work like that.
Okay. All right. So I'm already off to a firing start with the Spanish.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll leave it to you. Is there a big swim culture when you growing up in Spain? Usually it's known for soccer, right?
Yeah. Swimming is big. I mean, Spain swimming isn't exactly a powerhouse. So there's a lot of people that swim. We're just not very good in the international stage, to be honest.
Well, when I think of like aquatics in the Spain, Portugal area, I think of the old men in Speedos on the cliffs about to dive like to their doom and for glory. But, I think you chose a safer, even more lucrative route.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do that. I dive off of like those 1 meter blocks, and that's about as high as it gets.
As high as it gets. Yeah. No, nice. Okay. Well, when did you realize that you could be a Division I swimmer? Like, what was that moment for you?
I don't think it was ever a single particular moment, but rather I swam since I was 3 years old. So it was just kind of a natural progression as I was growing up, continued swimming, competitive swimming. And what is the next step? Well, Division I. All right, let's do Division I. And that's just kind of how it naturally went. I don't think there was a like singular pivotal moment. It was like, I'm this level. It's just kind of always been around there. Yeah.
Oh, so you've been him.
No. There's him, no. And then there's me.
Got it.
No way.
Your parents went to Cal. Did you email Cal like, hey, yo, I know I'm here in Spain, but like, dude, I can swim fast? Or did Cal? Is there there's a portal, I'm assuming, where coaches can check times and they're like, oh, your time's fast?
Yeah. There's a portal, but I mean, the international like competition stage is a bit different from US. US swims a lot of yards. We're like more long course meters, short course meters. Obviously, the good teams in the US are able to make that translation, but we have our own platform. But I just send them a link. It's like, oh, these are my times in long course and short course meters. I sent them an email, and I heard back, and honestly, really surprised because Berkeley is the top ranked program in the country. And at that point, I had already gotten rejected from a lot of other Division 1 schools, and I was like, I mean, Berkeley, they're not going to say yes. And talked with the assistant coach, and they're like, yeah, we'd love to have you. I was like, oh shit, all right,
Damn.
let's do it.
You got rejected from other schools academically?
Yeah. No, for the swim team, I wasn't fast enough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Berkeley's a elite swim school, right? So
Yeah, Berkeley's the #1 ranked. Yeah,
the number one ranked swim team thought you were good
right.
enough, but the number
Yeah,
5 ranked swim team didn't think you were good
number
enough.
5, number 10, number 20. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't really know what their process looks like.
I don't think they know either, actually.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why the reason why they're not #1, right? I guess I
Yeah,
don't.
I mean, yeah, if Cal thought you were fast enough, but Indiana didn't, like interesting.
Yeah. Well, no regrets.
No regrets. No, not at all. That's fascinating. And what also was fascinating is when I saw last year, man, you had a hell of a year. At that time
Yeah,
before you started Pommier, which we'll get into.
yeah,
You know, working at LinkedIn in New York, also training for the Olympics for Spain. Um,
right.
you know, what did your Google Calendar look like?
It was so at any given moment it was practice 6 a.m., 6 to 7:45 a.m., and then I always had like a stand up meeting I think at like 9:30 or 10 a.m. But I had to prepare that, so start working at 9 a.m. Had the meetings at 10 a.m. Work till 1 p.m. when I had to do lift, and then swim until 3:30 p.m. And then I work till about 7 or 8 p.m. and then wind down, sleep around 10, and rinse and repeat. That's it. Wake up. Oh, I mean, I guess you can film YouTube videos in the meantime and trying to edit those in the weekend. Yeah, it was a pretty busy schedule.
Yikes, man. Were you? Is there an like Olympic club in New York? Like, where did you swim at?
There is the New York Athletic Club that I'm part of. That's the one I represented in kind of the competitions. I think I would mention that last year I was training with Cal in Berkeley. I think the previous year I was in New York. I think last year I was in Berkeley. Yeah.
Yeah. They'll let you come back. Cal
They
let you
let me
come
come
back.
back. Yeah, I messaged Dave, the head coach, after graduating 22, and I was like, "Hey Dave, you mind if I just kind of join the team for this next year?" And he was like, "Sure, just do it." And so really grateful for that.
I'm sensitive to that because there's some college basketball programs out there that don't even let alums come back and get any gear. It's
Really,
like, damn, like where's the love at? You know what I mean? Like,
I came back and I stole a couple of shirts. I don't, I'm getting my value here.
did you have to steal them or they actually gave you like the shirt?
There were some leftovers, but there might have been a couple freshmen that didn't show up that day, and I think they might have gone on without some gear.
Yeah,
But it's
fine.
you have the rest of 3 years to get some. Yeah, you're fine.
There's like a swim store down the street. They can buy their own Speedo. Like,
Exactly.
they're good.
Fine.
No, they're chilling. That's nice to have. Did you stay? Like, were you staying in the dorms in Cal?
No.
Okay.
Oh, when I was studying or but this last year?
No, this last year.
Oh no. Yeah, no, I had my own apartment.
Okay, so you got your situation taken care of.
Yeah. I was very disassociated with the college life.
Good, as you should,
I
as you should.
graduated. I was like, okay, I'm here to swim. I got to work full time. I didn't have time to mingle around with the other undergraduates. Not that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to do anyway.
No, for sure. And one thing that, like you mentioned that I think a lot of people who are watching this may actually know you from your YouTube channel. You have a
Yeah.
killer YouTube channel, man, and salute to you. If you haven't subscribed to Marcus Rico Peng, we'll plug it in the show notes, and you don't need our help, but we'll give it to you anyways.
I need all the help I can get. Appreciate it.
Talk about that, man. Like,
Yeah.
I think what you did was document this journey of last year, working big tech, trying to swim, but you put so much good time into creating the content. What did you learn about like building an audience, through this past year that you think, is relevant for people looking to build their own audience?
I think, especially on YouTube, people want to connect with the creators, and it's different from like TV and TV shows and large companies where it's very disassociated. You don't connect on a personal level with the actors or anybody. But for YouTube, you watch a video and for a creator, you want to make sure like you have a kind of almost a one-on-one relationship with the audience. And I think a lot of what that connection and ingenuity comes from showing the behind the scenes. And I think it would be easy to show like, hey, I'm a software engineer and I'm trying to make the Olympics, and just like have just the beginning and the end. But the fact that I was kind of showing every single step of the journey, showing the good parts and the bad parts, like some videos I was like, this is hard. Like I don't have any time to do anything. I'm like working or swimming all the time. I'm tired. I think that being honest with the audience and it builds that connection, that trust. That I feel like people want that when they go onto YouTube. They want to watch somebody that they know they're familiar with and see what they're doing, what are their updates, how are they doing. And I think that's a huge part of building an audience is making sure you understand your audience and making sure you are in tune with the people that are watching you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't give folks enough context. My man has 148,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah.
His channel is making money. If the startup thing doesn't work out, I think he'll be all right, but the startup thing will work out. So I'm not even concerned about that. Marcos, if I looked up day in the life on YouTube, there's thousands of videos, man. And I appreciate you mentioning, behind the scenes, getting into the granular details. But dude, thousands of people are doing this.
Yeah.
Amongst the sea of day in the lives, yours have clearly hit.
Yeah.
Let's get granular here, man. Do you think it's like the thumbnail, the context because of his Olympic year, the way you place your camera angle when you're doing work? Like what do you think you're doing that others aren't?
Yeah, I think there is a certain, obviously you have to play strategic with the content. Obviously Olympic content in Olympic year is going to hit better than Olympic content in non-Olympic year. But even then, I've made a ton of all my videos are data lives basically, and they are pretty successful. I think there's a couple things. One is obviously thumbnail. It has to be a high quality photo. Don't do like some screenshot in the middle of the video. Actually take out the camera, set up the camera, think about the shot, for example. And I think what worked for me is like if you don't know what thumbnail to make, just look at another day in the life with 4 million views and then just copy their thumbnail. Like it worked. Like just use it. Just copy it. And I think that's what I did for my very first kind of viral video, which is still my most watched video, which is morning routine of a college athlete, which has 2 million views. And this was kind of like based off of this YouTuber called, I think it's called Dockery. I'm not sure if you know him. And he's like this football player.
Yes, I do know Dockery. Yeah.
And he's viral. Like, he has a huge audience, and I was struggling to make it on YouTube back then. I was like, hey, let me just kind of see what this guy has done. So that's one. If you don't know, just copy. And two, make sure like the quality of the video is important. I think everyone thinks that, if I just have a thumbnail and a snatchy and a catchy title, that's all I need. But you really need to make sure that the content of your video is actually good, filmed at high quality, that you have good audio, that there is some cohesiveness to the video. Just basic videography skills is extremely important. I think often overlooked. Just like, let me just type a thumbnail and clickbait title and it should work. And it doesn't work anymore, at least on YouTube.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I'm glad you mentioned that. Like the Mr. Beast cartoon, like come with me to the water, and it's like you holding a Speedo, and maybe that could work, but
maybe that could work. Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah. Do you think that like the following you've built, right? Like you've totally captivated this audience, right?
Right.
Being a founder, right? Like now you've gone from big tech, now you've jumped off the deep end, and now we're building Pommier. Before we even get into Pommier, like, did you think, all right, cool, I have this audience, whatever I build next, maybe I could actually leverage this to help accelerate what we're doing and build it faster?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you have an audience of 148,000 people and you don't tap into it in your own business, then like, well, what are you doing? It's a no-brainer. However, I do think that it's It might be. It's an advantage. I think it's a boost. I think it's definitely a boost in the beginning, and it will be. But I don't think that audience will carry super far. To be honest, I think like it definitely helps you gain momentum, which is oftentimes the hardest part. Just like getting like that 0 to 1 initially. But I don't think it will take you much further than one, like maybe 1, 2. But past 2 is far beyond 148,000 subscribers. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And
Yeah.
I actually want to jump back and chat about sort of mixing distribution with product, but let's talk about what you're working on right now, man. Really exciting stuff.
Yeah.
You are in the
Yeah.
AI race. You are like in
Yes.
the mix right now, right?
Right in there.
You're right in there, right? Like from swimming to AI. Pommier, building an AI native code repository. You used a great analogy before we got on camera to explain exactly what you're doing. Do you mind repeating that again and sharing with our audience what you're working on?
Yeah, let's do it. So everyone uses Google, right? Because Google was made for humans to kind of search the web. Now there's a lot of AI that's doing a lot of the searching and indexing on our behalf. So there's a lot of companies that are basically adapting the web, the worldwide, the WWWs, not for humans to search like Google did, but for AIs to search the web. And so they need to change the structure of the web in order to feed it for AIs. This is like a huge movement that's going on, and we're doing the same thing, but for code. So historically, developers like humans work on code and collaborate with other developers. Now that AI is writing a lot of the code and doing a lot of the coding work, and it's only going to get more and more prevalent as these kind of AIs get better, then these code and code repositories like GitHub need to adapt in order to kind of adapt to for AIs and not for humans anymore, because AIs are doing all of the work. And in the end of the day, AI is going to be collaborating with each other, and humans are just going to be kind of on the sideline, just nudging it, saying okay, not okay, and kind of letting it go. And so we're building the platform for that to happen.
And you've done this with your co-founder Harrison, right? Who,
Yes.
your college buddy. Who would you say is who is the target customer for Pommier?
Yeah. So right now it's developers, 100% developers. We aim to kind of increase the productivity of developers in startups, in enterprise in companies, leveraging AI to automate a lot of the documentation process, just using AI in any part of the software development cycle, and having that integrated natively, as opposed to just kind of slapped on like it is right now.
Yeah. Okay. And it's really technical, high level stuff, man. And you're literally on the frontier of the future of kind of software building. Marcos, you're one of the only people that we've found, or at least if I've tracked, that has gotten into Y Combinator being such a high level athlete. Like usually we don't associate those two. Being an athlete and getting into YC, right? They're very, very technical focused. Obviously, you're technical. Talk about that, man. Like that feels very, it feels very rare.
Yeah, it's not common. I mean, I think there's not that many highly technical athletes, high level athletes out there. I don't know. I think YC is very founder focused, not idea focused. Like they choose the founders well, and I think being an athlete has definitely helped in that. Obviously, I have a technical background. I mean, I studied EECS at Berkeley, and I was a software engineer, so that I kind of tick the boxes for technical parts, right? But I think just you have a there's every year there's thousands of EECS graduates, and then every year there's thousands of big tech employees too. So like, how do you really differentiate yourself from like the sea of like just all these software engineers that all come from the same background? And I think just showing that you're able to put effort and show success in other areas of your life means that, hey, doing a startup is hard, and being a college athlete or being a high level athlete is also hard. And so if you've already proven that you can do something hard, then it's highly likely that you can do another thing that's also hard, or equally as hard. So I think that definitely is kind of like it's a little more of like reassurance that this guy has been through tough times and has come out of it. So we have more faith that he's going to come out of this startup.
So you think being a high level athlete helped you get into Y Combinator?
I think it was I don't think it was kind of the differentiating. Like, I don't think it was the differentiating factor, as in like if he was an athlete, like or
Right.
anything. Like, no way.
Right. He's got to be able to
But
code something.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But I don't. But it's definitely like it was definitely not overlooked in the sense that you read the application, you read the idea, you read the founder, the background. You read like he has a co-founder. The co-founder is also extremely bright. And then now you're like, okay. And then you kind of read continuously, and it's just like it's almost that extra piece of information just automatically like convinces you. You're like, hey, I'm already feeling good about this person. On top of that, he's a professional athlete. Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Got it. Yeah. And I heard a previous interview, that interview with Michael Seibel. Oh man. Talk about the war room, the grilling room. Like, I can only imagine, like, I wish I was a fly on the wall for your interview.
Oh God, it was. Uh, so my interview was with Michael Seibel, the co-founder of Twitch, and oh God, so we had an idea that we applied on YC. We got on to literally to the interview, and Michael was straight up like, oh, like what is your idea? We say like the two sentences, and he is like, I wouldn't want my worst enemy to do this idea. He's like, this idea is so boring, and I was like, this is like minute like 30 seconds into the interview. I was like, oh fuck, like, oh sorry, I'm not sure what I said.
No, you can curse. You can curse.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, and he's like, why? And we were just like, we find it exciting, AI or something. He's like, all right, guys, say you guys do this for 2 years, whatever, it doesn't work out. What else are you giving? What else? What other ideas are you pursuing? What else are you doing? And then that's when we kind of had to on the spot come up with another idea for a startup. I pitched another idea on the spot at startup that I was kind of just thinking about, some software engineering tool that I work at LinkedIn. On the spot, he grilled me for like 5 minutes on that idea that I formed like in 10 seconds, and then just sit back and was like, okay, I'm done. And I was like, all right, we're not getting it. Emails the next day. I need another conversation. I was like, oh God, another grilling. Hop on. He's like, I like the second idea. I want you in YC. And we're just like, what? Like, what just happened? All this in like a span of like a day. So crazy interviews. YC is known for their crazy interviews, but that was especially pretty crazy one.
That's insane. You pivoted mid-interview?
And a mid-interview, yeah.
You pivoted the company mid-interview. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, they're definitely founder focused. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think for a lot of athletes watching building companies, can you touch on a little bit how the batch went? I mean, clearly there's like weekly meetups. You did something. Yeah. You had a retreat. You got to hear from some of the best founders, right? For full context, sorry, Marcos, let me say this: why Combinator is probably the best startup accelerator. So many billion-dollar companies have been made, or made through the accelerator and have gone through it. Excuse me. Airbnb, DoorDash, Coinbase, some of the most category-defining companies have gone through YC, and you just went through the gauntlet yourself.
Yeah. No, crazy experience. The batch is composed of weekly office hours. I think the coolest part about YC was that every 2 weeks or every week, I get to sit in a room with Michael Seibel, Dalton Caldwell, Tyler, and David, which was the founder of Google Photos and founder of a $1 billion was it like a university kind of software.
Not bad.
But I was literally watching these YC podcasts of Dalton and Michael, and then I go into YC and I'm sitting on this table and there's Dalton and Michael, and they're just sitting there and they're like giving us personal advice to our company face to face. And I think I can't the one memory I will never forget is that nearing demo day. So demo day is this event at the end of YC where you pitch to a lot of investors in one room. It was a Zoom call, but nearing demo day, me and my co-founder and I sat down with Michael for 3 hours on a whiteboarding session. And I think, halfway through it, I was just like, I'm sitting in a room with Michael Seibel for 3 hours and he's just giving me like billion-dollar advice on our company. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
insane.
Wild.
That's pretty insane.
Yeah. So crazy experience. You meet a ton of like the smartest people in the world. Obviously, we got to hear Brian Chesky from Airbnb come talk to us directly, the founder of other like really successful companies. So
Yeah,
really,
no
really cool
doubt.
experience.
It's pretty awesome experience and very rare for us to shout out to my guy Will Collier of Decent XYZ. Another YC founder who's touched the best of pod. So he played water polo, Marcos.
Awesome.
So another
Nice.
waterman.
Nice.
Maybe if I start working on my breaststroke, YC will give me an interview for athletes and assets. Who knows?
I'll see you in the summer 25 batch.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so for your company, Marcos, like,
Yeah.
let me when we think about the landscape of AI, there's so much going on, and there's so much noise, but also real value being created.
Yeah.
In your landscape, man, like, what do you think you need to do to be a winner in your category?
That's a good question. I think a lot of the AI companies, they're all using the same underlying technology. So that's OpenAI's ChatGPT or Anthropic's Claude. All these underlying based like fundamentally like the fundamental models. Everyone's using the same because like to build those models yourself, it requires a lot of like data and compute, and we don't have the money for that. So we're all trying to build a solution on top of it. So really, it just comes down to three things: distribution, UI, and I think there's something else, but let's just say distribution, UI. And I think in order for us to succeed, we really need to nail those points. And I think we have UI is kind of you can do that. Distribution is arguably some of the hardest things to kind of overcome in a startup, and sometimes it's like the make or change in a startup success. And I think obviously I want to believe that this past 4 years of building a YouTube channel, I kind of know the inner workings of how to build an audience, build a community, leverage that community to build a product, and leverage the product to continue building a community and translate that into the startup world and leverage the community that I've already built to bootstrap start my own company and really beat anyone else. Like, let's say there's another company that's doing exactly the same thing, and their founders don't have 150,000 people watching. We're definitely gonna have an advantage, and we're gonna take it.
Yeah, 100%. Glad you brought that back in, man, because I think so many companies these days need to be distribution first, right? Think about if you have if you have 150,000 people waiting and now maybe they all won't be power users, right? But what if 500?
They talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you say?
What if 500 people out of those 150,000 love your product?
Yeah, that's I would consider that a success.
What if 100 people loved your product? Like that's
really loved it. Like really loved it.
Yeah,
that is the goal. Yes.
Right.
Yes,
like
that is. Yeah.
And so this is why I'm so bullish. Like when we think about the athlete founder, Marcos, and like you kind of have the holy grail of some qualities, right? Like you're technical, you're social, and you understand distribution. Like that is like the most powerful thing in Silicon Valley if you can leverage it correctly, right? Like most people who are technical, who build software, don't know how to talk to like people. And you strike me as a personable guy. And so like balls in your court, man. I hope you use it wisely.
Yeah, I hope so too. I'll try my best.
Yeah, no doubt. So I think has it been easy for you to get people on the phone or talk to people about your product? Maybe you're not converting yet, right? Or maybe you're still figuring out who your ideal developer customer is. But like for you, because of your athlete background, because of your YouTube channel, is it easier for you to like talk to users?
Yeah, 100%. I think one of the biggest advice YC gives us is always talk to users, right? Talk to people. People are the ones that are using your product. Don't build and isolate it in your room and then no one wants it. Talk to the people that you want to build for. And I think the biggest problem is that how do I actually reach the people that I want to talk to? Like if a person a person with no following and they're like, hey, I need to talk to people. What do? They cold message people, trying to ask friends, families, maybe like some intros. For me, with a platform with YouTube or even Instagram, I have like 20K, which is already enough. I can just post a story and be like, hey, I'm building this. I need people that are in this area. Boom, like DMs are flooded, and I already have access to so many people I can talk to. These people can know people. Like someone's like, oh, I don't know personally, but I know my friend that's in. I can intro, and you already have just this outlet of like I could just like basically contact anyone I want at any given moment, and so that's a huge advantage in reaching to people. Often underrated. I think social media is vastly underrated. I believe in kind of in the startup and in building a business.
What I feel like you'll probably take advantage of and is like the balance, right? Like if your Instagram channel was just like you posting stories of your code, you start losing followers. But like I feel like you have a good sense of like lifestyle, meets like here's hey, by the way, I'm doing this.
By the way, right. Absolutely. Yeah, you're going to lose your following very quick if you keep on like asking and not giving. So you make sure you give content, make sure you provide entertainment. And every once in a while, I think it's okay. I think your audience, they're there because they want to support you. And hopefully in other aspects of your life. And I think, just talking to them as if you would like ask a favor of a friend, as long as it's not too often, I think it's
when you break it down very simply, you jumping in the water and recording it could actually help you make money and get users. In a way.
I'm gonna write that down. Yeah. Next time I'm gonna be like, hey, I'm looking for developers. Woo!
It's like, but it's like my point is like you're recording your life as a swimmer, or you have been in the past, right? And people like that, and they're like, okay, cool. I know he does this, but like, let me get to know the guy. And it's like, oh, by the way, like, here's my startup, and it's this. I see this awesome funnel for you guys. In that regard. Going through YC, Marcos, you're kind of expected to build $1 billion company.
Yes.
And which means that if you've gone through YC, you've taken or raised money. Or at least plan on doing so. Going through YC.
I mean, if you've gone through YC, you already raised from YC.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So you've taken money.
You have taken money.
You have taken money.
You have taken money. So a lot of athlete founders and a lot of founders I talk to, like raising money is so tough, man. Even going through YC, it's super tough. YC makes it a little easier. Can you talk about the craziness of your recent raise or in fundraising and how you sort of deal with it?
Yeah, fundraising, like you said, is not hard. I think maybe I had a
not easy.
No, not easy. Yes, not easy. Sorry. No, very hard. Not easy. Yes.
Yeah.
I think going into YC, I was like, oh, YC, chilling. Get out of YC, slap my YC on my company. It's fine. Maybe that was the case in 2021. I don't know. But nowadays it is a lot harder. And fundraising is a crazy process of pitching back to back, having a CRM of like, tens, sometimes even hundreds of investors that you just talk to, and just keep on grinding through until you close your round. And it's not easy. It's not easy. It takes a lot of mental and emotional energy to like end a call in the next 30 minutes. All right, put on another smile and all right, let's go again. And then just hearing no's after no's. And I think, athletes are used to hearing no's and being like put down all the time. So it's as sad as it sounds, it's kind of like we are used to it. But at the same time, it's tough.
So as a YC founder, you can confirm fundraising is still tough.
Yes. I'm sure there are YC companies that go out there and they're like, hey, we had like 10 calls and we closed that round and we're chilling. But I know I can speak for many YC founders that it is not easy. It is not easy. And I think even those that do close their round, like it's definitely easier that you're in YC because you have access to a lot of investors have eyeballs on you, right? But going through the motion is not easy. It's not easy.
There's nothing really comforting about fundraising, but if there was something comforting about fundraising, it would be that this is not baseball. If you go 4 for 500 in baseball, you're probably getting sent down in the minor leagues. If you fundraise and you get 4 yeses out of and the other 496 people tell you no. That's a success. You got 4 people to
That's
say yes.
good. Yeah.
Like, that's really good.
That's really good. Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I think it's, and I think, like, I don't know if we'll dive into this, but in terms of your timeline for your raise, right? Like, I think a lot of people try to raise for too long. They don't set enough timelines for themselves, and a lot of people don't realize they don't need to raise as much as they think they do.
They think they do.
And I'm sure YC teaches you that a little bit. But anyways, like, aside from fundraising, man, do you have a story of that you can share of, like, there's, like, I don't know, Marcos, you've seen other podcasts where it's like, welcome to the NBA moment, or like, welcome to the Olympic swimming moment, where you're swimming and all of a sudden Ryan Lochte is like zooming by you, right? Like, what was your welcome to entrepreneurship moment where, like, damn, like, this is real?
I mean, in YC, you look around, you have these crazy companies, and I think one of those moments is, like, we have this batch, like, we have this retreat in the beginning of the batch. It's a 3-day retreat, and you're just kind of, and get to meet other founders, and it's kind of introduction to the batch. And you get to lead a lot of people, and you're just having some drinks, and then you just talk to some people, and then all of a sudden, the people that we're talking to is this cracked kind of 15-year researcher at SpaceX and this PhD from, like, Oxford in, like, aerospace engineering. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, what are you guys building? And like, yeah, we're putting data centers in space. So, like, we're using space cooling technologies to increase the performance of our, data centers and computers. So we're going to launch some computers and put them in space. And I was like, what the? Like, what? Like, I'm trying to build like a little software for, like, developers, and you guys are launching rockets. Like, that was crazy. I think that there's so many of those at YC that it's a pretty wild experience.
I would have been like, yeah, we're building code repository for space.
For space. Yeah. Hey, yeah. There you go. I'm on the same level. Yeah.
Yeah, we're building a spaceship. No, that's that's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Crazy. If all goes your way, everything goes your way in the next 5 years from now, where is Palmier?
Yeah. So Palmier in 5 years is, we hope to be the de facto kind of code repository. In 5 years, I think AI will be doing, like, so much of the coding that we aim to be the kind of the platform for all these AIs to do all the coding and to be able to collaborate with themselves. And, we hope, in 5 years that we've taken a big enough market share from GitHub and GitLab. We're growing, and we're on path to IPO. So that's the goal.
Hey, that sounds good to me, man. That sounds good to me. Hey, just remember me on the after the Series C. Remember that one podcast, that little podcast that was the. No, this has been awesome, man. Another great episode of the Athletes and Assets podcast. I'm your host, Noah Lack. We just chopped it up with Marcos Rico Peng, swimmer, YouTuber, founder, video editor extraordinaire, technical developer extraordinaire. And is survived the grilling of YC and is now on to doing awesome things, and knows a thing or two about now, building amongst the very best. So, Marcos, really appreciate your time, man. Welcome to the community.
Thank you so much, Noah. Thanks for having me.
Shit, it's about time. Welcome to the channel, Athletes and Assets with Noah Lack. If you can, please like and smash that subscribe button. Our community is growing really fast. We want you to be a part of it. Hope you enjoy.